Let's now talk about Myers-Briggs type indicator. This is another model on development or identification of personality of a person. It's a 100-question personality test, and there are a total of 16 personality types according to this classification. It was given by two people called Myers and Briggs. There are four classifications that he has given, and these are extraversion versus introversion. So a person is either extrovert or either he is introvert. Second is sensing versus intuitive. So a person is either sensing or intuitive kind of personality. We'll be talking about them. Thinking versus feeling. The third one is either he's a thinking kind of personality or a feeling kind of personality. And fourth is judging versus perceiving. So he's either one of all of them. He's either extrovert or introvert. He cannot be both of them because they're opposite to each other. Now, what exactly is extroversion? If a person is outgoing, he is sociable, he is loquacious in his personality, he is very free to talk to other people. He's outgoing, he likes to move out and talk to people and connect with people. Then he's an extrovert kind of a personality. And if he's not, he's totally opposite, he's quiet and shy, then he's an introvert. This is very easy to understand. Second is sensing versus intuitive. Sensing is a person who's practical and who prefers routine orders. So people in the military probably can be called as people having a sensing kind of personality because they're practical and they prefer routine orders. And on the other hand, if a person is intuitive, he will rely on unconscious processes. So he's not very organized, and his behavior is determined by unconscious and instinctive processes rather than dependent upon practicality as well as rationality. Third is reason and logic, thinking versus feeling. So if a person is a thinking kind of personality, he will think about something before taking a decision or before taking an action. Whereas if he is feeling kind of personality, then he'll value emotions and personal values more than reason and logic to take decisions. For example, if you have to choose between two cars, one car is, let's say, Ciaz, which gives good mileage, and it has good mileage, it is not very expensive, it costs 10 lakh. And on the other hand, there's another car, is Thar or Jeep. So it does not have good mileage, it costs almost the same, 10 lakh. The maintenance cost is higher, the maintenance cost is lower here. So this is right, this is wrong. So if you are a personality who's thinking, who has a personality of valuing reason and logic, then you'll choose this car. But if you're a personality who chooses personal values and emotions more than thinking and logic, then you would end up choosing this car because the looks of a Jeep are more attractive than the looks of a sedan, and therefore that is where the difference lies between a thinking and a feeling personality. The last one is judging versus perceiving. So judging person is the one who wants control and prefer their work to be ordered. Again, military personalities are more judging than others because they want control and they prefer their work to be ordered. On the other hand, a perceiving kind of personality would be someone who is flexible and spontaneous. So he's flexible, which means that if there are any changes in the outside environment, then he's able to change inside very fast with the changes in the outside environment. And he's very spontaneous as well. Before taking decisions, he does not think a lot. So there are positives as well as negative sides of this personality. So a person would be either judging, who would want the work to be ordered and everything to be organized, or he would be perceiving, where he would not mind a lot of changes happening in the outside and the internal environment. So these are the personality types given by Myers and Briggs. It's important to remember all these keywords. These keywords can be used to ask different questions in the examination. Next, let's talk about Big 5 personality trait model. According to this model, there are 5 personality traits which determine your personality. Identification of these personality types helps an organization organize where you work in the organization and how you contribute to organizational growth. So let's first understand 5 personality traits, and then we'll understand how does it affect organizational development and growth. First one is extroversion, then agreeableness, then conscientiousness, then emotional intelligence, and then openness to new experience. So extroversion we had already talked about in the Myers-Briggs type indicator, wherein a person is gregarious, sociable, assertive, he's outgoing, so he's extrovert. And what is the impact of being extroversion? If a person is extrovert, it is relevant because then he would have better interpersonal skills. He would be able to talk better to other people inside and outside the organization. Second is greater social dominance. He'll be able to dominate other people when it comes to social experimentation. Next is more emotionally expressive because he's ready to talk about what he's feeling and how he's thinking about others, and therefore he will be more emotionally expressive about his feelings and thoughts. And how does it affect the organization's functioning negatively or positively? It leads to higher performance because when a person is extrovert, then what is happening is that first of all he's able to connect with other people in the organization, and when a person is emotionally expressive, then he does not keep anything to himself, and therefore he is able to perform better. So third is because he has the ability to dominate in the social environment, therefore he is able to get or snatch all the opportunities that are available in front of him, and therefore perform better in the organization. Next is enhanced leadership because social dominance and interpersonal skills are good, and therefore he can act as a leader, because the first quality that leadership demands is oratorship. So if he is able to act as a good orator, he has the ability to talk and influence and convince people, then he can act as a good leader or work as a good leader. Next is higher job and life satisfaction because he is extrovert, he is able to connect with other people, he does not feel isolated or left out in the organization and also outside. So these are the benefits or impacts on being extrovert inside and outside the organization. Next is agreeableness. It means that the person is cooperative, warm, and trusting. So you can trust a person who has the personality of agreeableness. He is very cooperative with you, so you can get the work done in a cooperative manner. And he's warm, so that means that you will feel very homely when you're talking to a person who has a personality of agreeableness. So he's better liked because he's cooperative and trusting, and more compliant and conforming. So because he's cooperative and trusting in the organization, so whatever will be asked from him will be normally done, and therefore he is expected to be more compliant and conforming to the rules as well as to the tasks that are provided to him. Higher performance again, and lower levels of deviant behavior. So you will not experience deviant behavior from a person who has the personality of agreeableness. Next is conscientiousness, reliability, and dependability. So he's a person on whom you can rely easily and on whom you can depend. So even if your work is not getting done, you can depend on him, he'll get it done. You can rely on this person for your personal as well as your professional secrets, and therefore what are the impacts of this? Higher performance, enhanced leadership. So this is another quality that leadership demands, and greater longevity. So he will be able to survive in the organization for a longer time period because he's reliable and he's dependable. So the organization would want to have him in the organization for a longer time period. Next is emotional intelligence or emotional stability, which means that you're calm, you're self-confident, and you're secure. You have less negative thinking and you're less hyper vigilant. So a person who is emotionally stable means that a person is able to take decisions based on thinking and based on reason rather than intuitions. And what are the impacts of having an emotionally intelligent personality? Higher job and life satisfaction and lower stress levels. So you will have low stress levels because you're not reacting to others actions or to environmental actions in a very quick manner or a fast manner. You're processing all the information and trying to solve the problem whatever arises, and therefore it shows that you're emotionally intelligent, which means you're more stable in your thought process and you're more reasonable in your thought process. Next is openness to new experiences. So if a person is open to new experiences, it means that he's creative, he's curious, he's always looking to something new, and which means that he's demanding to learn more and more. Next is he's more creative and he's more flexible and autonomous. And what are the impacts that it has on the organization? Training performance. He'll be better when you're trying to train him because he's always looking for something new and he's open minded towards improving himself. So that's an advantage. So organizations which are dealing with people who have to continuously keep learning new things would want to have people who are open to new experiences. Enhanced leadership, and next is more adaptable to change. So they will be of course more adaptable to change because they're always looking for something new, and they're not stiff about their cultural and their mental processes, and therefore they're always looking to learn new things in the organization and also otherwise. So these are the different personality traits that a person can have and the impacts that these can have on the organization. A question can be framed now from these personality traits by asking as to what personality trait has what impact on the organization, number one. Second, they can give you certain features of a personality trait and ask you what exactly is that personality trait. So they can tell you a person who has less negative thinking, who is more stable in his thought process, who is less hyper vigilant, what kind of personality trait does he project in the organization. So these are the kinds of questions that can be asked on big five personality traits. The next theory in personality is called as self-concept theory. Now this theory was given by Carl Rogers and Henry P. So it's important to remember these names. Carl Rogers and Henry P. gave the self-concept theory. The self-concept theory is basically an understanding of relationship between I and me. So for me as a person, this is Anuj Jindal. For me as a person, what is the relationship between I and me is what defines my personality. Now, I here is described as how I look on myself. What exactly do I feel about myself? What is the belief that I have about myself? These questions are answered when I talk about the word I as to how I take myself as, and me actually is defined as the social self. So social self means how I perceive how others look at me. So what exactly do I think of what others believe or what others expect me to be? So if for example I am an introvert, this is the reality that I am an introvert, but others want me to be an extrovert. Others feel or others have a belief that I am an extrovert. So I start reacting or I start acting as an extrovert person despite having an introvert personality. That means that I am giving more importance to me rather than I. So this is how you differentiate between I and me. I is how an individual appears to others. So this is how I appear to others, and me is the mirror image of what I believe others expect from him. So this is what I believe that others expect from him. So this is how I start acting. But this is how actually I should be in front of others, because this is the real part of my personality. A person who performs his duties without attachment gets strength and is able to perform more efficiently. So if I am able to detach myself from the social self or from what exactly others are thinking about me, then I will be able to perform better, because then I am in reality taking my original personality forward and not acting as per others beliefs or others feelings. So if other person desires me to act in a certain way but I am not acting in that particular way and being myself, then I am giving more importance to the concept of I rather than giving more importance to me. So this is the difference between I and me given under self concept theory. Next personality theory is called as socialization theory. Now it's a very simple theory to understand, and only one sentence containing three words can summarize the entire theory. The sentence is person, situation, interaction. So according to the theory, a person's personality is determined by the situation that he's acting into. So I am a person. Now let's assume that I have a very non-violent kind of a personality. So I am very Gandhi in my approach, but I have hit the road and I'm driving, and I by accident some other car hits me and gets a scratch on my car, and I act very violently because my mood is not good in that particular situation. Because I have got a new car and I'm very attached to it, so I start hitting that person. It's a road rash case. It's a very so this personality that I showcase in this particular situation is actually not a part of my real personality, but I show this personality because of the situation that I am in. So I'm in a situation where my mood is bad. Number one, that is the internal change in situation. Second, because my car is new, so I've got a new car. Third, because I'm getting late for work. So all these internal and external reasons result into what is called as road rash. So road rash case happens because unlike my personality of being very non-violent, because of all these internal and external reasons that happened in that particular situation. So socialization theory said that a person continuously interacts with the situation, with the environment, and therefore his personality is determined to a large extent by the interaction between that person and that environment. So this interaction happening between the environment, whether internal or external, and the person is what determines his personality and not otherwise. The next model that we have in personality is called as type A and type B personality model. So it divides people into two types. A person belongs to either type A or he belongs to type B. Let's understand what exactly is the meaning of type A and type B. So to start with an example, a person who is working in a research organization, a person who's a researcher, let's say a PhD working in the area of physics or working in NASA, to be more clear, is actually belonging to type B personality because of the reasons that I'm going to give. And a person, let's say, who is working in the field of marketing or who is working in sales in an organization is expected to be a type A personality. Now, what are the features that define these personalities? Is never in a hurry. Type B personality can never be in hurry because researchers are normally very calm and composed, and they're dealing with a situation for a very long period of time. So for example, if I start experimenting on a very small thing, I'll take months to understand it and bifurcate it and divide it in such a manner that I'm able to understand every part of that particular problem or that experimentation. So I cannot be in a hurry to perform my task. Whereas a type A personality is always moving, it's always in a hurry, and marketing personalities are required to be in a hurry, are required to always keep moving, are required to be always on their foot, and that's why type A personality matches more with marketing and salespersons. They walk rapidly, they eat rapidly, they talk rapidly, and they're always impatient because their job requires them to be always on their foot. Does two things at a time, they always try to do more and more things at one particular time because they feel that they're running against time because they have a lot to do. They want to capture the market as fast as possible, they want to sell as much product as possible, and they have only limited time. Measure success by quantity, by how much you sell, by how much you are able to market, by how much you're able to increase your revenues and your sales. That is what they measure their success in. Is very aggressive, is competitive, and feels time pressure. So it's always running against the time. It's very competitive in nature and they're very aggressive. On the other hand, type B personalities are more calm and composed. They're more patient. They do not brag. They just keep doing their work. They play for fun, not for win. So they're actually doing their work because they like doing it and not for the purpose of winning in whatever they're doing. They relax without guilt. They take a lot of time for themselves. They're mild mannered, they're very modest and calm and composed, and they do not have pressing deadlines. So, all these researchers are not provided any deadlines because it is understood that they can work only without deadlines. They can work when they're mentally and physically free, when they can do whatever they want to do with their research and take their time. So this is the basic difference between type A and type B personality. A question can be formed giving you a certain personality type and then asking you whether it belongs to type A personality type or type B personality type. So the last slide that we have in personality tells us about miscellaneous personality types that we have not discussed yet, but that can be asked in the exam to some extent as well. Now the first one is core self-evaluation. So a person who is high on core self-evaluation is positive about his beliefs, is feels, understands his abilities, knows what his abilities are, and has self-belief in whatever he is doing. So if I'm positive about my core self-evaluation, means that I know what exactly I'm capable of doing, and therefore if I'm performing in a particular task and even if I'm failing, I know that I can do it in the future because I have the capability, so I will keep doing it. Whereas if I am negative in core self evaluation and if I start failing, So because I do not know my own capabilities, so I will stop doing it and I will do something else because I do not know what my self evaluation is. The next is Machiavellianism. It was written, there was a book called as The Prince, written by Machiavelli, and the term has come from there. And it says that the degree to which an individual is pragmatic, maintains emotional distance, and believes end can justify the means is a person who is Machiavellianism in nature. So if I feel that end can justify means, even if I'm doing something wrong, for example, this is task A that I'm required to do. It requires three processes to be done, and the end result is called as B. Now this end result is ethically and legally right, but the processes that are involved in functioning or in carrying out this particular task are legally wrong. They're morally right, but they're legally wrong. So even if I'm entering into this task, doing this task with the belief that end, which is B, can justify the means which are legally wrong, then I'm a Machiavellian kind of a person. I am pragmatic, I am more practical in nature, and I keep emotional distance with whatever I'm doing. Next is narcissism. So, a person who is arrogant in nature and who gives a lot of self importance is a person who is narcissist. So, if I only think about myself rather than thinking about others around me and others in the entire world, then I'm a narcissist. So, people who are excessively focused on themselves are called as narcissist. Next is self monitoring, ability to adjust his or her behavior to situational factors. So, my ability to adjust my behavior according to the situation is what defines whether I'm self monitoring or not. There is a situation A which demands that I act in a very calm and a non violent manner. But if my personality, my internal personality type is that I'm always moving, I'm always aggressive in nature, and I may turn physically violent as well, and I keep acting or I keep reacting in this manner, nor not depending upon what the situation demands, then I'm not self monitoring or I'm not good at this personality type, which is called as self monitoring. So these were the miscellaneous personality types. We are finished with personality with these miscellaneous personality types.